Before this tale of greed and consequence begins, I must ask you to look deep into your own heart. If you were suddenly given a shortcut to everything you desired, limitless abundance, instant luxury, would you take it? More importantly, what would you be willing to sacrifice to keep it? Keep that question close as we watch Kalu's life unfold, and then, do us a favor, hit that like button, subscribe for more tales of folklore, and tell us your answer in the comments below. The sun, heavy and low, struggled to pierce the dense canopy of the Umu-Eze forest. In the filtered, warm light, the village looked tired but beautiful, its mud homes settled like old, sleeping creatures. But the beauty offered no comfort to Kalu, a lean, kind hunter barely in his mid-20s. Kalu was defeated. He kicked a stone, the sound flat and hollow, mirroring the pit in his stomach. His nets were torn, his traps, though meticulously set, stood empty. His simple cloth wrapper, covered in sweat and mud, felt less like a garment and more like the heavy cloak of failure. "The forest is stingy today," he muttered, the words thick with worry. He had not caught even a tiny bush rat. "My wife will worry. Hamara will hide her worry behind a gentle smile, but I know it is there. We are hunters, yet we starve." He pulled a long thick rope on a ground trap. It sprang, snapping back into place with a sharp thwack that was more frustrating than the lack of prey. Kalu collapsed onto a foggy log, burying his head in his hands. His poverty was real and immediate, and the knowledge of his wife's hunger was an agony he could not bear. Desperation led Kalu towards the great river bank of the Olu River, hoping for a final, desperate chance at a night fish. The air here was colder, dominated by the constant rush of the water. Then, he heard its daughter's strange, deep groaning that cut through the night sounds. It was not human, but something ancient, immense, and in profound distress. Kalu, the hunter, recognized genuine suffering. He followed the sound to a curve in the riverbank. Pinned under a fresh landslide of heavy, wet mud was a giant river turtle. Its shell, massive as a small table, was not merely brown, it shimmered with metallic, deep-water blues, pulsing faintly in the gloom. The turtle thrashed weakly, its eyes impossibly old, its breathing ragged. Kalu did not hesitate. Dropping his useless tools, he spent the rest of the night digging. He used his bare hands, the dull edge of his machete, and pieces of broken wood, pulling mud away in massive, back-breaking clumps. The effort was immense. He was soaked, shivering, covered in river filth, and his hands were soon bleeding, but he did not stop. "Hold still, old one," he whispered, teeth gritted against the exhaustion and panting heavily. "I will not leave you." The first silvery light of dawn touched the water. Kalu gave a final, heavy push on a snapped root. The root gave way. The mud slid. With a deep, relief churning, the giant river turtle floated free. It stayed for a long, silent moment, its ancient eyes fixed on Kalu, who collapsed onto the bank, utterly exhausted. Then, slowly, it submerged and disappeared. Kalu closed his eyes, ready for the sleep of the truly defeated. But a moment later, a figure emerged from the exact spot where the turtle had vanished. Azu, an old man of profound dignity, stepped onto the bank. He was dressed in immaculate white linen, and he was completely dry. Kalu scrambled to his feet, shocked. "Sir, I saw a turtle, you are." Azu smiled, his voice deep, echoing, yet kind. "I am he whom you saved. I am Azu, the spirit of this river." "Hunter Kalu, you risked the very end of your strength for a tired traveler. Kindness, even to the least of us, is never forgotten by the spirits of the water." The spirit reached into his linen folds and presented a drum. It was the Igba Iku, the drum of abundance. Small, intricately carved from dark, polished Iroko wood, its face inlaid with swirling, luminous ivory patterns. It felt warm to the touch. "This drum can summon all things," Azu continued, his voice taking on the weight of a decree. "Food, shelter, gold, rain, It knows the needs of man and the heart that holds it. But hear this well, Kalu, for these are the laws of the river, and they are absolute. Azu held Kalu's gaze, solemn. This gift is for Umu-Eze. It must be played in gratitude, with a humble heart, and it must always be shared with the community that birthed you. It must never be played for the luxury of a single man. Abuse the spirit within, and it will turn on the abuser, and all who benefit from the ill-gotten bounty. Kalu, overwhelmed, accepted the drum. I swear by the water and the earth, Azu. My family and my village will only know blessing from this day. Never personal gain. Azu gave a final smile, a flash of ancient light, and without another word, he walked directly into the deepest part of the river, dissolving into the swirling water. Kalu rushed back to the village square. The villagers were gathered, their faces filled with sadness and drawn with hunger. Hamara rushed to him, seeing his bruised hands. Kalu, your hands. And where is the catch? She cried. Beaming, Kalu held up the drum. I found something far better than a fish, Hamara. I found a miracle. Chief Obina, the village leader, a large man in expensive, stained velvet, watched from his compound balcony. He was openly contemptuous. A hungry man brings home a toy, Obina called out, his voice laced with scorn. Shame upon your father's legacy, Kalu. Kalu ignored him. He set the drum down. He tapped it softly, remembering the spirit's decree, gratitude and humility. The sound was gentle, musical. Spirit of the drum. I thank the river and the forest for this day. My village is hungry. My neighbors are tired. I ask you, please, to feed the mouths of Umu-Eze. Kalu played a short, rhythmic beat, flowing with melodious tunes. A brilliant, swirling mist appeared, smelling instantly of wood smoke and spices. When it cleared, tables laid, with hot, steaming food, huge pots of jollof rice, bowls of thick egusi soup, pounded yam, and gourds of cool, sweet palm wine. The silence was absolute, then the village erupted. Cries of joy, disbelief, and gratitude filled the air. People wept as they rushed to the tables, their hunger instantly satiated. Kalu was the instant hero. Hamara hugged him tightly, tears streaming. You are blessed, my husband. We are blessed. From his balcony, Chief Obina's face was a mask of suspicion and raw jealousy. He leaned close to his guard. That drum. Such magic does not belong to a peasant. It belongs to the crown. To me. The next few months were a blessing for Umu-Eze. Kalu, true to his word, played the drum for the community. The village thrived. New roofs were put on homes, a clean well appeared in the square, and market stalls overflowed. Umu-Eze had risen from its knees. But Kalu began to change. He was no longer dressed in simple cloth. He wore expensive imported silks. His smile was wider, but his eyes held a flicker of restlessness. He accepted gifts of land and rare livestock out of gratitude, the villagers insisted, but Kalu began to see them as his rightful due. 6 months after the miracle, Kalu's transformation was starkly visible. He had built a palace, a massive, ugly, European-style concrete mansion, painted bright white, fenced off and jarringly out of place next to the modest traditional homes. Kalu, now heavy with gold chains and clad in silk robes, was supervising servants preparing for an extravagant, private party. The guests were not Umu-Eze villagers, but wealthy merchants and businessmen from distant cities. Hamara watched him, her warrior constant weight. Kalu. The people need help with the planting season. The rains are late, and the soil is hard. Kalu waved her away impatiently. The soil can wait, Hamara. The spirit of the drum needs to see how well its master is living. Tonight, it plays for my pleasure, for my guest. We deserve this. He grabbed the Igba Iku from its stand. The wood now felt cold, demanding. The drumming sounded harsher, faster. Beating very tense and fast. Kalu played for luxury, fine liquors, imported silks, and wasteful, exotic foods. The summoned items appeared instantly, accompanied by a harsh, unnatural flash of light. Hamara rushed to him, her voice shaking. Kalu, please stop. The magic feels different. You play it with impatience, not gratitude. You play it for yourself, only for yourself. Have you forgotten Azu's warning? Kalu turned on her, his eyes hard. Nonsense, Hamara. I earned this drum with my kindness. The people are fed, they owe me this luxury. The drum obeys me. He dismissed her with a cruel gesture and returned to his fawning guest. Chief Obinna had watched Kalu's descent with increasing obsession. In his dimly lit chamber, he spoke to his advisor, Izudo, his voice laced with venom. He insults the spirits. He has shamed the chieftaincy by flaunting that cursed magic. That drum belongs to the ruler, the one who can truly command its power. Obinna presented a sack of gold and a replica drum, a worthless piece of soft wood, painted to look identical to the Igba Iku. Go now, Izudo, Obinna commanded. Tonight, while he is drunk on self-importance. Bring me the real Igba Iku. Once I have it, I will be the wealthiest man in all the land. Kalu, drunk on power and palm wine, was showing off to his guest. I will show you real power, he roared, pointing at the sky. A golden crown. The drum will make me a king. He played a loud, furious, demanding beat. The crowd cheered, oblivious to the sickly green light emanating from the drum. In the confusion of the cheering crowd, Izudo and a guard slipped into the shrine. Izudo made the switch quickly. The real Igba Iku, pulsing with an angry, dark energy, was slipped into a sack, and the useless replica was put on the stand. Izudo rushed back to Chief Obinna, who snatched the drum, eyes shining with manic anticipation. A kingdom for a drum. Now watch true power. Dawn broke over Umu-Eze. In his secret chamber, Chief Obinna set the real Igba Iku down. He dressed in his heaviest robes, ready to become an emperor. Spirit of the drum, he roared, gripping the drum. I am your true master. I demand limitless gold. I demand all the wealth of the earth. Play for me, spirit. He slammed his hand onto the drum, playing with pure, ugly, deafening greed. The sound was not a drumbeat. It was a terrifying scream. Instead of gold, a cloud of black, ancestral dust filled the room. It blended into the Igwakwa, the collective death, skeletal, shadowy spirits, carrying long, invisible whips that whistled dangerously. Obinna screamed, stumbling back. No. Gold. I asked for gold. The Igwakwa leader's voice, cold and echoing, filled the chamber. You demanded magic without gratitude. You played for yourself. You inherit the debt. The spirits began their work. They lashed Obinna with the invisible whips, and then surged out of the chamber and into the town, targeting all the ill-gotten wealth summoned during Kalu's arrogant parties. The village woke to chaos. Kalu's massive, white palace shook, spider-webbed with cracks, and then collapsed into a pile of smoking rubble. Chief Obinna staggered into the square, half mad, covered in invisible wounds, screaming about the whips. The villagers, seeing the destruction, turned their anger on Kalu. Kalu! You cursed us. You brought the spirit of vengeance, they cried. Your pride destroyed all we built. Kalu stood amid the rubble of his life, holding the worthless wooden replica. He finally, truly understood the spirit's warning. The shock was profound, shattering his arrogance. They are right, he choked out, humbled. I played it for myself. I forgot the promise. The magic wasn't the gift, the people were the gift. Now, I must finish what I started. He realized the drum must be silenced to save the town from the roaming Igukwa. Kalu stripped off his expensive, torn silk robes. He tied on his old, simple hunter's wrapper. Hamara, seeing the return of the man she loved, handed him his old, battered hunting machete. "Bring me back my husband," she said, fierce and resolute. Not the king. Kalu tracked the real Igba Iku, which now radiated a terrifying, malevolent energy from the forest. This was a hunt not of magic, but of hard-won skill, tracking snapped twigs, reading the moss, and listening for the faint, terrible beat of the corrupted drum beating itself. He found it lodged at the foot of an old shine tree, pulsating with that sickly green, hateful light. The thumping was deafening. Kalu knew he could not use it. He had to destroy it. He raised the heavy machete, his eyes filled with sorrow and resolve. "Spirit Azu," he cried, a prayer and a plea. "Forgive my arrogance. I am Kalu, the hunter. I reject this easy wealth. I choose honest labor." With all the strength he had left, he brought the machete down. The heavy iroko would split with a wrenching, final crack. The light died. The terrible thumping ceased. The piercing whistle of the Igwokwa spirit stopped instantly. Silence returned to the forest. The village was saved. The magic was gone forever. 1 year later, the village square was bustling. The rubble of Kalu's palace was gone. In its place stood a strong, beautiful, communal storage barn, built in the traditional style. Kalu and Hamara were dressed simply, tanned and strong from labor. Kalu played a regular, carved talking drum, a call to unity, not abundance. The sound was clear, human, and proud. "A little more pressure, brothers. Lift," Kalu called. The villagers, self-reliant once more, lifted the final, heavy roof beam onto the new barn in perfect unison. "The food tastes better when it comes from the soil you have tended," Kalu, Hamara said, smiling. "And the labor feels lighter, my love." Kalu replied, his smile peaceful and genuine, "when it is shared." Chief Obina, humbled and stripped of his title, walked quietly on the edges of the village, carrying water, repairing the damage with his own hands. As the sun set, painting the sky with warm, golden light, Kalu and Hamara stood on a small hill, looking down on the thriving, peaceful, self-sufficient village. The Igba Iku, the drum of abundance, brought fortune and ruin in equal measure. It taught Umu-Eze and it taught Kalu a painful but profound lesson. The true, lasting magic is the one they possessed all along, the magic of diligence, gratitude, and community. Unearned wealth is heavy and fleeting, but the reward of honest effort is light, strong, and lasts forever. Thank you for watching Kalu's journey. If you believe that hard work always beats a shortcut, share this story with a friend, and subscribe to Didi Whispers for more tales that teach us the deep lessons of the land.